And if you want to hook up, cool. If you don't want to hook up, cool. Like, just be upfront. What Tony Braxton say? You ain't gotta lie to me. Just be a man about it. If you want to leave, go on. Be honest. Treat people with respect, and that's it.
I was fine paying for myself, but he wouldn't pay the $20 for himself. Like, what kind of cheap, like, where were you thinking we were going that would cost less than $20?
And I said, literally, they do the black woman dirty on the show. It's one thing to get embarrassed in private. I'm not going to get embarrassed in public.
In front of the whole world to see. Welcome to another episode of the Sis Please podcast. I'm Satta.
I'm Jaretta. Welcome.
Yep. We matched today.
We do. I'm like a little bit of dark yellow, but I'm feeling it because, you know, it looks good on the melanin. We look good. Yeah. We popping. So.
And I'm in buttercup yellow, but yeah, that is total coincidence. I had no idea what you were wearing today. So what are we talking about today? Dating, the perils of dating in the new millennium. You're still out here in these dating streets and I'm at home in bed by 9, but I feel like dating right now in 2023 is not for the meek. If you're a millennial, it seems from my perspective outside looking in that it's hard out here.
Yes, it is hard up in these streets. For those who have listened to previous episodes, y'all know I'm a Christian woman, but I also want to let y'all know it's a wasteland in the Christian land too. So it's hard everywhere.
A wasteland? Seriously?
Listen.
I mean, we'll get into it, but like when we were talking about this episode and I was thinking about dating in the new millennium, like what is that like? Because I know what it was like for me 15 years ago when I was like, you know, out here looking for someone. But I remember, I think you actually sent this to me, this epic Twitter thread from this dude, and we can credit Hi Solomon from Durham, North Carolina for this. Like after Steph Curry's parents, Dell and Sonia Curry, announced they were getting divorced, and he had this thread like, dude, you don't want to be out here. Yep. I'm like, wait, is out here that bad? Or is that what we're talking about? But I wanted to read some, because even the first like 5-6 tweets in this thread just have so many nuggets of eternal wisdom. Yeah. So he goes, so hi, I'm Solomon. He goes, bud, let me tell y'all something. You don't want to be out here. You think you want to be out here. When you get out here, you ain't going to want to be out here no more. Last time you was out here was different. You think it's something better? I come to let you know the best you're going to get is what you already got. So tell me, how different is it out here?
I feel like it's definitely hard. We live in a time where people just want to show up and show out on social media. I think a lot of people hide their true authentic selves. I think because of what people have experienced in the past when it comes to dating, they don't want to put their best foot forward. But I feel like for me, as someone who wants to find somebody, a lifelong partner, I don't really have the patience for the foolishness.
So are you actively dating right now?
No. I spent most of 2022 liking somebody that I thought liked me back, but they didn't like me back, and they turned out to be a clown with no integrity, or maybe just didn't have integrity when it came to me. So I just kind of took that time to really kind of assess, what does Jaretta want? And I feel like I'm in this season where it's just like 2023 is the year of
me season. It's me season.
Yes, me season, enacting my boundaries and getting what I want and I deserve. And like I said too, like being a Christian woman, it's a little bit hard out here, because when I compare my dating experience then to now, I was looking for love in the wrong places, doing things that I shouldn't have been doing, but trying to look cool, trying to look cute, like looking for a man, and it just ended up in a lot of pain.
What were you doing that you shouldn't have been doing specifically?
You know, like hooking up with people that I shouldn't have hooked up with. Like, you know, I had a little boyfriend and stuff like that.
But you know my philosophy, like you got to try before you buy. To know that you don't like something, you have to try it, you know?
Okay, but again,
that's sis, you know, okay.
But sis, we come from a different context. And again, I know I know we've had the conversation before.
You're a Christian woman and I am more spiritual than religious, and obviously your faith shapes how you interact, especially in the dating sense.
Yes. I think as a Christian woman who's looking to be abstinent, because I feel like God is someone who is important to me and I feel like died for me, I want to please him.
So how does that work like being celibate, especially at 30, when you're trying to date, because Yvonne Orgy Molly from Insecure, which is like one of our favorite shows of all time. Like in
Yeah.
real life, she is not just celibate, she's a virgin.
Yeah.
So
Kudos to her.
I always find that fascinating. How do you navigate dating right now,
Yeah.
and not having sex or being intimate with someone?
Yeah.
Because a lot of men, and let's be honest, women too, are looking for that. And
Oh
I think it's
yeah.
an important part of a healthy relationship. I don't think it's like, oh, you have sex and all of a sudden your pussy whipped or dick whipped. You can't think straight.
Stop. No, okay. So again, coming from a Christian context, it is hard, especially if
Mhm.
you're someone who has had sex before. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I'm not going to sit here and say like it hasn't been hard, but I think again, because I made this promise to myself and because I made this promise to God, I have to enact boundaries to make sure that I don't put myself in compromising situations. And then I think something that I'm learning too is dating someone who's also on that same wave, because I've also been in situations before where,
Mhm.
I thought I could play the fence and then ended up compromising, and that just was no good. So I think something that I'm prioritizing now is meeting someone who, aside from me, is like, okay, I'm also on that same wave and has their own convictions about that. But I'm not
So
going to sit
how
here and say it's not hard, because it
Yeah,
is.
so how do men react like when you tell them your boundaries? Like, have you had ever had any experiences where someone was like, no thanks?
Yes. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna call him Salacious Pastor. And this happened last year, late last year.
Mhm.
So Salacious Pastor, met him on Hinge. When I swiped on him, clean cut, handsome, educated. I'm not opposed to dating a pastor. It's not my first go to, but
Oh, really? I'm surprised by that.
there's a lot of expectations, it seems like, to be a pastor's
Okay.
wife, but
Okay.
open to it. And just we matched right away. We had a lot of good conversations, asking me really good questions. I was asking him really good questions. But again, I think there's like a misconception, right? Just because somebody is a Christian doesn't mean they believe what you believe. And I think
Mhm.
again, like, it's all about boundaries and it's all about your non-negotiables. I think it also helps when you're a Christian too to be like, okay, well, what's your take on sex before marriage? And, I think oftentimes when I tell dudes that, it's like, oh, okay, I'm cool with that. I respect that. But again, that's not good enough, in that, like, ultimately you want to have sex. And that's okay. And like, it's okay if we're not aligned. So we had that conversation. Discernment came in the back of my mind, like, this might not be it, but let me just see. So, a couple of days in, we're talking about how our day is, because again, he's a pastor, he works full time, like, it's very busy.
Mhm.
So we got into the conversation again. On the phone one night, he was just talking about sex a little bit. He was like, I don't mean to be crass, but I love Jesus and pussy.
Oh God.
And at that point, I was like,
Wait, first of all, what church was this man a pastor at? Because
listen, he just
this
moved
is
back. He moved back. He's from
like
the
like
South.
like salacious is, I mean, that's the word.
So
Mhm.
I knew at that point, like, it wasn't going to work out, because again, due to the previous experiences that I
Mhm.
dealt with, I didn't want to go through that pastor. And like you said, what kind of pastor is this? I don't mean to
But what did
judge.
you when he said when that phrase came out of his mouth, what came out of your mouth next? I'm really
I was
curious because
just,
you were shocked.
because it's like, what do you respond to that? Like, okay. Like, I guess in one sense, I appreciate him telling the
His
truth.
honest,
But
yeah.
then I know at the back of my head, okay, Jaretta, this has been a problem for you in the past. Why go down that road? And it was interesting because the week that we're supposed to hang out, I was sick. So we had to reschedule. And then that following week, he didn't hit me up. I didn't hit him up. And he had a lot going on. Like, again, not shading the dude, but he had a 1 year old
Oh
child.
yeah, this is the one that had a see that should have been the first tip off. And I'm sure that wasn't in his profile on Hinge. He kept that secret to the side. But like that should have been the first clue. Like, and you know, nothing wrong. Don't get me mistaken. Nothing wrong with dating someone who has kids, especially when you're in your 30s. You got to be flexible a little bit.
Yeah, I
But a
agree.
1-year-old, that's a fresh baby with fresh baby mama drama and
Which
problems.
he talked to me about that
So,
same night. Too
like, maybe
much.
come back after that child's second birthday because this is too much.
Well, it didn't work out anyway. But again, he
Yeah.
had a lot going on. And that was also
Mhm.
something that we talked about in the conversation, where it's
Mhm.
just like, again, you don't want to judge. Everybody has
Their things,
something,
their
right?
experiences,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, he was like, I was not operating in the highest frequency. And like, I want to be with somebody that da da
Wow.
da da da. So
But then he's telling you this
that he
stuff.
likes Jesus and pussy, right?
Yeah.
So,
So it's like contradictory. Like people will say one thing, but then show their actions will show themselves to be another. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
he told on himself when he said that to you.
And that's what these dudes be doing. So let me talk to you, sis. And I feel like anybody listening, watching, because especially women, marginalized women, black women especially, we got to do our due diligence when it comes to the apps. Because something that I forgot to mention before,
Hmm.
I've dated, you know what I mean? But I've had not the traditional experience. So like I said, I went to an all women's college. There were guys nearby at neighboring campuses, but I wasn't really focused on that. And I'm in a profession that's
Predominantly
majority,
women.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it's, I think one of the ways that I did date was finding people on the apps.
Hmm.
Now, I have an intense process, and you don't have to follow this process. I'm curious what people's process is, but
Okay.
I do feel like
Please
people,
share your process with us because I wasn't aware that you needed a process. You needed a strategy to go on these apps.
because you never know. You never know these days. So
Hmm.
I'm on the apps. Like I said, I'm not actively dating, but once in a blue moon, maybe once a week, I'll scour, see what's
You
out
check
there.
in,
Yeah,
see
just
what's
see
on
what's
the
out
menu.
there. Yeah. So, all right, I'm on an app, right? The first thing I look at, okay, your pictures. You don't just have one picture, you have multiple pictures. And within all those pictures, you look the same. Like that that's one
Like
thing.
no one's trying to get catfished.
Exactly. And if you have multiple friends in your pictures, I'm not saying that you're not attractive. I'm just saying that's just a little.
You're
So
you're
that's,
obscuring, you're trying to
yeah,
hide yourself a little bit, yeah.
exactly. So that's one. All right. If you have a nice looking face, we can go to the part two. Part
Okay.
two, I'm looking at your bio. Now, the bio is really important, right? Because it lets me know who you are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you like? What are you looking for? And like you said, some dudes will tell on themselves, I'm looking for a hookup. I'm looking to, I've
Is
seen,
now is grammar important in their bio? Like if you read their bio and
yes.
it's filled with typos and misplaced commas and like just everything is will you not get some people aren't good writers?
But I'm not saying you got to write an essay, but okay, put some effort in that. And
Okay.
again, some people will tell on themselves. Like Hinge, for example, like they have sentence stems, what I like. And I remember one time
What
this
is
dude,
that?
like, one thing to know about me, or
Okay.
like what's my favorite TV show
So
or
people
whatever,
have to think before they input a response.
which I like. But there was one
Mhm.
dude who was cute, but I think the question was, don't be mad at me and he was like, if I'm emotionally unavailable.
Oh
Next.
Lord. What is
What?
it? Do you swipe left or swipe right on that?
I
You swipe
swipe, yeah,
left. Okay.
swipe like I'm not interested. Like,
Mhm.
but again, these dudes be telling on themselves, and like there are some dudes who are swingers. Like, there's a plethora. Like, Tinder is a
Yeah, but
wasteland.
different strokes for different folks. You might not be into that, but some other chick somewhere else might be like, "Oh, this is a dude for me." You know what I'm saying?
Maybe,
So,
yeah. So I look at the bio. If you have a crappy bio but a good picture, I will swipe left. Like, again,
so
all
you
right.
would be like, "Okay, I'm willing to explore further."
No, if they have a bad bio.
Oh, if they have a bad, what you said, bad bio or
So if they have a nice looking face, but if they have a bad bio,
oh,
I'm
you're
not.
like pass, you're not
Yeah,
interested. Oh, okay.
yeah. Like,
I don't know.
you gotta be. I mean, maybe it's different, but okay. Say
Mhm.
if we match each other,
Mhm.
I usually don't send the first message, but if I really am vibing with somebody and I like what they say, like I make sure that I attach what I ask them or send a message just to kind of show, like, hey, I read your profile. I like what I see. That's what it is. So I wait the first couple of days, honestly, the first 24 hours to see if they respond, because there are some dudes, and I've seen them on YouTube, where it's just like, they think that Tinder is a game or these apps are a game, and they just swipe right on everyone. and they don't even realize who they're swiping on. So
Mhm.
I feel like the first 24 hours is important for me to know, like, okay, are you interested or not?
Mhm.
Another thing, too, I like talking in the apps because I think in the past I used to give dudes my number, but it's like I'm not
Mm.
going to talk to you for long. So I need to see if you're not crazy. You know what I mean? Have a
I have to change
conversation.
my phone number afterwards, yeah.
Exactly. I used to give people my burner number and stuff like that. I don't do
Oh,
that too
I
much.
didn't know
And
you had a burner number, sis.
yeah, what? I mean, nobody has been crazy and stuff like that.
What are
Fine,
you
no.
using, like a Google Voice telephone
Google
number or something?
Voice, what's it called? Burner app, like again,
Wow,
ladies,
so many uses for all this technology. I didn't
again,
know.
people,
Yep.
yeah. So say if we like kick it, everything sounds good on the app, so we'll take it outside of the app and we'll text a little bit, and then like we'll set up a date. Now, as I'm getting to know somebody, here's my second or third process. I don't even know what number I'm on, but I do feel like you got to check a dude's socials because
This sounds so complicated. Sounds like a part-time job.
listen, this is just
Mm.
me, and maybe it's just excessive. I just gotta be careful because you just don't know. I do check their socials just to get a glimpse because you can learn a lot about somebody from their Instagram, from their Twitter, from their Facebook.
What are
They could,
some red flags for you when you're looking at their socials?
if they're racist, homophobic, transphobic, like fat phobic, a manosphere nigga, a manosphere
Wait,
adjacent.
what? Hold on a second, please. Hold on one second. Wait a damn minute. What is manospheric? You guys just be making up all sorts of
It's
words.
not. No, I told you about this. Sis.
No,
I told you what
look,
like.
I can't keep track. First, I'm sorry. First there's hotep, now there's manosphere. What do these words mean?
Listen. So with the manosphere, like we've had this conversation before. Think Kevin Samuels, like,
Oh God. Him.
average
Sorry,
looking.
I'm sorry. I really sorry. The man passed away. I don't want to speak badly of him. I
No,
just
it's not just Kevin
no,
Samuels
because
though.
my first reaction when you said his name, I just didn't want to be disrespectful. I didn't want to speak of him negatively, but he was doing some foul shit when it came to like
Exactly.
how he
So
viewed women and talking to them and
exactly.
giving them advice and like
Exactly. So think
whatever.
about that. And it's not just him,
Oh
I mean, like
gosh,
it's a whole
sorry.
community of men that dog on women. And that's another thing too that we often can talk about. We can talk about that in another podcast because
Hmm.
people want to talk about, and I know you hate the terms, but listen, sis, they got red pill, they got black pill, but nobody wants to talk about the integrity pill. Because again, like you said, like these women are being degraded and disrespected for clicks and views. And I don't find that to be cool. So like these are the things that I scope out. And then also like who are the person's friends? Like what do they post? Like
Oh gosh, you're looking at friends too? You know, cause that I don't know if that's entirely fair because some of us have friends like we've been friends for a while. That's my dude, but he be saying some crazy stuff. Like I know you can just sort of judge people by their friends, but I think is can be a little bit more complicated than that. But
well,
I just
ladies, let me
want
know what you think. Like cuz I'm very curious like
yeah. Yeah, I would love to hear on, post on our social media about what you think about Jaretta's multi-step dating process on these apps. But I actually wanted to circle back to something that you said. Like, I was like, oh, what are some red flags on social? And you're like, if the person's racist or, transphobic, homophobic.
yeah.
Um, and I'm by no means saying people who of other races are automatically you have to think they're racist. But when you
Yeah.
were on these apps before, we noticed a pattern
Yeah.
that you were dating mostly white dudes, which was so funny in a way because it's like and I've called you this, you're at the ultimate SJW,
Oh, here we
social
go.
justice warrior. So my question is when you're dating, swiping right on a white dude, like how do you screen to make sure he's an ally or he's not fetishizing you or
Rising.
that he's like, what do you do? Where do you ask him? Like, where were you on January 6th? Like, how do you, like, how do you
That's
make
bold.
sure he's, your values align?
You know how some people got gaydar or whatever? I got whitear. So I know when a white man likes the sisters. But like you said, just because somebody likes the sisters doesn't mean that they're
Mhm.
down for the cause. So I think just having conversations and hearing kind of what they think, and I think that kind of just reveals itself in time.
And you've already put them through this process. You've done your due diligence. So by
Yeah.
the time you make the decision to swipe right and potentially go out on a date with them, you have a level of certainty that, this person actually is open to dating a Black woman and won't say problematic things, most
Yeah.
likely.
And then, and say if I do my little mini screening like on the apps, and then I
Hmm.
hear like, "Oh, I never been with a Black woman before," or some type of stuff, like that's just an
Yeah,
automatic
so
block.
yeah, that's
You know what
like
I mean?
he's like, oh, he wants to try something new, like that. That movie
Yeah, and
was Annihilation.
it's like again, I'm not a wow, I can't believe you made that reference, but that was a good movie though.
Yeah,
I think just people kind of tell themselves over
yeah,
time. Yes, I have my rigorous process, but I think it does take time to get to know each other. And then sometimes things fizzle out on both sides, and then some things don't fizzle out. But
yeah. So
yeah,
you said you're on all these different apps. You're on Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, Upward, Christian Mingle. Some of these I never heard of. Like, what is Upward? But like, and
mm,
that your faith is really important to you, and you're looking for someone who's aligned with those values. So, what was the experience like being on Christian Mingle? Like before, you said it
non
was a waste. What
non existent.
was that a wasteland too? Is
It's just like the dudes live far away. Like, yeah, my friend was talking, I was talking to her the other day, and she was just like, I feel like every state has like a certain app that they tend to go to. And I feel like because Christian Mingle, like where I live, like there's not a lot.
hmm
Or, the dudes are super young. And again, they're, they might be Christian, but they might not like be my type. Like,
hmm
everybody wants to talk about the list. I think my list is mainly character based, but I
hmm
do look at physical attributes as well. And I'm not going to lie and say like it's nothing. Like you know.
yeah.
So I mean that's just me keeping it real. And I think the same thing men do too to women, like on the apps all the time. Like you just kind of know if this is someone that you are attracted to or not. And I think there's nothing wrong with that.
hmm
I think the problem is when dudes start demeaning and degrading women just
hmm
because they're not a high value woman. Like that's what I take an issue with.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, people deserve to be treated with like love and respect. And I know for me in my personal life and like my friends that, it's hard to really like put yourself out there. And it sucks when things don't go the way that you anticipated. But it's another thing when like someone is being malicious and trying to hurt you. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's like you might be like, oh, I'm over it. And then, a woman might be processing that shit for months,
That's true.
like, so it's just like, let's just treat people with care and respect because I know if the roles were reversed, you wouldn't even tolerate it. You would be like, how dare this girl even talk to me like that? How about you, sis? Because I know it's been 15 years ago, but you have
Thanks.
had
Hmm.
I mean, again,
Yeah.
you're not out here in the street. So, I mean,
No.
I look to you like you kind of lucky you didn't have the Tinders and the Hinges and
Yeah.
the social media apps. So, I'm just hearing like in the early 2000s, well, not early 2000s, but during
No.
that period or
Yeah.
late like 2010s, late before
Yeah.
2010s.
Yeah.
How was
Sort
that
of.
process like for you?
Well, we didn't have the Tinder and the Hinges and all that, but we had Black Planet, we had AOL Messenger,
I
but
remember those.
it was sort of like an analog way to find a date, compared to all the options you guys have now. But I've had, dating, I met my husband at work, so it
How
wasn't like
nice.
I had to travel far.
Mhm.
But yeah, I had dating experiences that were not great, that were not ideal, because it seems like guys were looking for a certain type of woman, a certain aesthetic, or
Like what?
eh, like the I guess Kim Kardashian wasn't big back then, but like whatever the 2008 equivalent was of Kim Kardashian or J Lo,
Mm,
that was sort of what was prized. I
mm,
remember when I was in grad school in Chicago, I dated a trainer. Like I signed up for personal training for like once or twice a month, and this guy
mm.
started training me, black dude, and we decided to go out. So we met up, and then I wanted to go to this club. It's called the Funky Buddha Lounge, if I remember correctly. I don't know if it's still open, but back in the day, I don't know if it's still the case, but if you get to a club a little bit early, like before 11, it's free.
Free, yeah,
And
that's
after
right.
11, it's not. So we went and we are a little bit late or whatever. So we get to the door and the bouncer is like, "Oh, the cover is like $20." And old dude goes like, "I ain't paying that.
What?
$20? Are you serious?" And the thing is, I didn't even expect him to pay for me. I don't know why. I was fine paying for myself, but he wouldn't pay the $20 for himself. Like what kind of cheap, like where were you thinking we were going that would cost less than $20?
And y'all didn't go to like the movies before or
No,
dinner?
nothing. We are just gonna go hang out, whatever. So we left, went to some dive bar, and met up with his friends. And I remember it was a dive bar because I remember I have this distinct memory of like peanuts on the table, like shells of peanuts on the table, like peanuts in a bucket, like that. I guess that's the thing. And okay, one thing I forgot to mention is my first warning sign that this date was not gonna go well was the outfit he showed up in. He showed up in a head to toe jean outfit. Now,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Like FUBU?
no, not FUBU. And I was about to say this is like 2000, 2008. Like FUBU was big in like the late 1990s. So
Yeah.
like
So this was during like
so
Kanye West, like skinny jeans.
yeah, so this
You
was
know.
like past the point where I felt a jean outfit wasn't style. And even if you're gonna wear a jean outfit, if he would have worn FUBU, I could have given him a pass. It was more like a Levi style jean
Oh
outfit,
God. So
which is like no offense to anyone who wears Levi's, but I just associate that brand with like 60-year-old cowboys trying to wrangle horses, not like 20-something-year-old black dudes, from the South Side who are about it, so this jean he came with this jean that should have told me everything I needed to
so
know
he
about how
had
the night was
denim
going to go.
on denim in
Yes,
2008
8.
to.
And that should have told me all I needed to know about how this date was going to go.
So it was given like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. You
So,
remember like during the
I know
VMAs
why
what
I wasn't trying to match him. I was wearing I was not
Sada's
wearing
like,
denim
let's
on.
be clear, I wasn't trying to match,
Exactly.
but
So we met up with his friends at this dive bar place, and then he wasn't paying any attention to me. So I was like, I'm gonna just walk back to the station, or I'm gonna leave. And I'm thinking, he's gonna leave, would like wanna like continue the date or do something. And he comes and he walks me to the train station. He doesn't even walk me down the steps into the
oh
actual
my
L.
gosh.
And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go back and hang out with my friends. See you later."
Wow.
I was like, and this is the problem. This is why you don't shit where you eat, because he was the trainer at my gym. He trained me on Sunday, like one Sunday a month or something. So after this, I had to avoid the gym on Sundays. I couldn't go back there on Sunday because, like, after you have a date like that, and I don't even remember if he tried to call me after that, you know, but it's funny. I didn't learn my lesson because then after a few months later, I dated another dude. He wasn't my trainer, but he
Mm.
worked at the gym as a trainer. And I
Sada
dated
just
him too.
loved them trainers.
Look,
She
I
like,
was in grad school. I was busy. My circle was small. It's not like I went a lot of places.
mm,
And so, it was either class or the gym. And a lot of people meet their spouses at school. I wasn't meet there weren't a lot of us at Northwestern in the graduate journalism program. It was like
mm,
only a handful of black people. And I would be open to dating a white guy, but white men, just when I was in the dating world, they never really approached me. I don't, for whatever reason.
mm.
Um
Yep. Mm.
so that's my
I know we were talking about my celibacy journey, but if I
oh yeah.
remember through the grapevine, you also
You
had an interesting journey. So I'm just really curious, like how, because you went to BU,
Yeah,
prime
Boston
time,
University for undergrad.
prime, yeah,
Yeah,
prime
like
time.
Boston, like there are college students everywhere. I think like when I was in school, college students comprise 20% of the population. So yeah, I mean, you would think things were ripe for the picking, but they they,
So
they
was it
really
by
weren't.
choice, essentially? Like what?
No, it was by accident. And then
Not at BU, Sada.
no, well, I'm just saying after a certain time it was initially an accident, and then it became a choice, because like if you go like 6 months, 7 months celibate, after a while you're like, I'm not just gonna sleep with anyone,
See,
so
look at
it's just
that.
like, I'll wait maybe till I'm in a relationship, or so it was like I, I entered college, from sophomore year to senior year. I didn't do anything in
Yeah,
that realm, so I didn't have sex again until after I graduated college, which is like crazy, you know,
yeah.
that you're in college and you're not having that kind of experience. I dated and had fun and stuff, but I just didn't do that. And,
Yeah,
you
because when
know,
you don't think
most
about it,
men
you don't
weren't
think
okay with
about
that.
it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
most men weren't okay with it. Although I did have a boyfriend in college who was 4 years older than me
Mm.
and was a grad school student, and he was a virgin. So
See,
that worked.
see, that happens. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And would you say that you also being celibate, like you said, kind of gave you a clarity of mind? I'm just curious.
No, it didn't make my mind any more clear.
Clear as in, like you said earlier, like
Yeah,
you wouldn't
yeah.
want to be with a dude, like you don't want to just sleep with nobody, like you want it to be meaningful. And I think that's kind of, I think, I'm not saying it's not hard, but I think once you put boundaries in place and after when it is a while, you just kind of like, well, I'm not going to just do it with nobody. And I know people who have been celibate for years. And like once you keep that streak going,
Yeah. You're
it's
like, yeah.
fine. Yeah. It's like, shit, I'm damn near virgin. You know what
Yeah,
I
you know
mean?
what, you know what I equate it to? Like when you're on a diet or something and you're trying to eat healthy and you get one cheat day or cheat meal a week and you decide to go to this restaurant and then you get the food and it doesn't hit. It's not what you've been waiting for. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So it's just like now
Yeah.
my number went up.
Mhm. Mhm.
It was
Your number went up.
it's
But
anticlimactic, and now I feel bad after. Like, what?
okay, yeah.
Why?
But let me play devil's advocate here. And I know the devil doesn't need any more advocates, but this is my concern. Like I said to you earlier, I'm a try before you buy kind of person. What if you do that in the context of marriage, or like you're not sleeping with someone until you marry them, but now you stuck.
What's
Like
wrong with that?
you just got to work with what you got because you didn't try before you bought, you know?
I do feel like once you get to know somebody and you go that physical realm, like you learn each other's bodies over time. You know what I mean? Like you know what you like, you know what you don't like, and I mean, I kind of like it's like a learning experience.
So you're
Like
saying when you say okay, because for some people celibacy means they're not doing anything.
yes,
That's not that.
nothing, no penetration, no oral, no nothing.
Okay, so then what are you talking about? You can't learn someone's body
I'm
if you're
saying in the past, again, like I said, I was out here, so I know what I'm talking about. I'm saying like when you get into a rhythm, like say if you're dating somebody,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Again, when I was in my past, let me just
Okay.
my
Okay.
past now.
Uh-huh.
When it takes time to learn somebody's body, and I mean I've heard that from married couples as well.
But why can't you do that learning before you you marry them? Like
Again,
that's my
Sada,
argument.
again, I come from a Christian context. I want to
Okay.
be holy. I want to live a
Okay.
life acceptable before
Mhm.
God.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not going to get into this, but I
Okay.
know
It's fine.
when I've done it, I felt convicted as hell. And that's how I know that I can't do it because like there's a wave of conviction that comes that
You
shows
mean you can't be intimate with someone
yeah,
when
cuz
you're
I
just
would just
dating?
feel bad. Like
And you
there
may get attached. So I think too, the reason why I don't envy your position or any other younger millennials position dating now is because there's just so many options and there's so many
mm,
ways to meet people. Like you were talking about
yes.
all the apps, and then there are all these dating shows like Love is Blind. Only watched the first season, didn't watch it after that. But like the ultimatum on Netflix, which is basically they're trying to break up people who are already in relationships and married at first sight too,
Mm.
which is like the ultimate craziness. You're not even dating the person, you're marrying them on site. So, and you actually had told me and our mom about this, that you were approached to be on one of these shows. So you want
Yeah,
to
I
talk
like
about that?
yeah, at one point I was flattered cuz I was like, "How you find me?" And like the dude was like, "Oh, I just found you cuz he like
And this is
contact
the casting director.
yeah, the casting director found me on Facebook." And again, I'm not believe it or not, I'm not really active on the socials like that. So he was just
Mm,
like, "Are you interested in the show? We're filming in Boston." And I was like, "What kind of show?" Cuz I don't again, I'm not trying to be funny, but you like people be soliciting for a lot of stuff. So I'm like, you're
yeah.
not going to run game on me.
Hmm.
So I was like, what kind of show? And he was like, it's a dating show. Da, 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 da. And I was like, is this like a documentary that's local? Like what? And he was like, oh no, this is a national TV show. So I was like, what's the name of the show? And he was like, Married at First Sight. And I don't watch Married at First Sight when he messaged,
Hmm.
but this was the season during Chris and Paige. Now, if for
I
those who
never
watch,
watched the show, so
yeah.
tell us.
So basically, during the time that the casting director hit me up, like there was just a lot of buzz on Twitter, Instagram, all that, because there was a black couple where Chris from Chicago, ironically, I don't know what it is
Oh,
with some of
these
these.
Chicago dudes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But like he was paired with this black woman Paige, and basically like when they get married they sleep together, and he's like, I'm not attracted to her. Then later,
Oh
all of a
God,
sudden, like his ex-girlfriend comes and says that she was pregnant, and
so
he's basically
messy.
like, yeah, dragged this woman to the mud. So I'm
And
like,
they were
oh,
already married because yeah, it's married at first sight.
exactly.
So this is
and
his wife now.
and was shallow as heck. Maybe like again, this was before the manosphere took over. So he kind of reminds me of that manosphere dude, because he was like, I wanted a woman that had a nice body and had a nice face, and all these other things. Which again, I'm saying, like, I'm not saying that's not important,
What
but
did
it was
he
just
look like? Oh my god! You guys should see her face. It's just a stone
yeah.
face. I'm gonna Google this. Google him after this. But
Because it's always the ones that always want to judge women, but it's like, well, what you look like though? And again, I think maybe he thought that he was more attractive than he was because he
so
had some,
the face card was not serving, is what you're saying.
pretty much, but he thought that because he had franchises at Subway that he was giving. But
Goodness.
but
Oh my god.
so
Um.
but yeah, he
So
just
this
dragged her.
casting.
Yeah, he dragged her to the mud, and I'm like, I'm looking for a Christian man. I want a man of God. And
Like
he was
I
like,
don't want Paige. What Paige went through? I'm not trying to
exactly.
go through that.
And
Yeah.
I said, literally, I said, they do the black woman dirty on the show. So, it's one thing to get embarrassed in private. I'm not going to get embarrassed in
In
public.
front of the whole world to see.
So,
Yeah.
flattered that he considered me, but not interested. And it was interesting that season.
Mhm.
This girl I went to grad school with wasn't like a part of the main cast, but she was featured when they were doing the matches and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I need to hit her up one day to see what her experience was like. But I
Yeah.
think like it was valid. I'm on TikTok too, and like with Love is Blind, people are just curious, like, how did you get into the show? And like some ladies were saying, oh, they find you on social media. So I've never gotten a message like that. It happened to be during the same time
Mhm.
that they were about to film Married at First Sight in Boston. One of the pastors that
Not
married one.
not the
No, no,
salacious
no, no, no,
pastor.
not the
Someone
salacious
else.
but
Okay.
one of the pastors from he visited my home church, married one of the couples, and I was just like, oh, that's such a small world. But no.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because you asked us, you asked me and our mom, if you were cast on one of these shows, what would we think? And I told you, you know what? I would go, if you were cast, I'd go to the wedding and show up and support you. I don't know if our mom would. Well,
I mean,
on second thought, honestly, she may, because African moms, and one, they never miss a good party or a good event. Secondly, there's cameras there, so she'd be able to bluff what, her head tie and lap
that's
on
what
and
they
brag to
do.
her friends. But also, you may not have wanted her there because between her, our aunts, godmothers, they would try to stop that wedding. You know that part
Hell yeah.
in the wedding where they say "Speak now or forever hold your peace." All these Liberian women would stand.
No.
You can't, no, they would not be holding any kind of peace, and these reality TV show producers be like, please escort this woman out the building because she's not about to mess up our multimedia production on some foolishness. So yeah, so I don't know if you would want to go on any of these shows, but if you did, I would personally prefer you to go on Love is Blind. Maybe we could have like a Cameron and Lauren type of situation. Since you already ventured into that pool,
I like
let's
black men.
welcome.
Well, I
Well,
mean, I'm open to all races. Let me just
yeah,
preface
I
by
feel
say
like
that.
yeah. I mean,
I
you've already shown that you're open
I'm
to
all
other
yeah, I'm
races.
open to all races. I think like I don't know what happened over the past couple of years, but I think as I'm starting to get older, just thinking about if I was to ever get married, what kind of family would I want? And I would say like there are certain things, commonalities that you have with somebody who is not only of the same faith as you, but also of the same hue as you. And I know you've asked me before, like, am I open
Mhm.
to dating a Liberian American, a Nigerian American, or just, from the motherland? I'm not
Mhm.
opposed.
But I feel a but coming on.
I think it would be easier if they were first generation like us,
Hmm.
or they, from the motherland, but they came here at an early age. because I've dated some traditional well, not, dated some traditional African
When you
men.
say traditional, what do you mean by that?
Think about, you know, our
Like very traditional views of women
yeah,
women and
what
your
they should
place in
do
the
and
house and
like, and again, I'm not saying, I feel like everybody want to talk about, or men want to talk about, oh, she's not a submissive woman, she's not this, she's not that. And it's like, I think when you love someone or you care about someone and it's a mutually beneficial partnership, like I think about you and your husband, like
Mhm.
you naturally want to do those things, not
Yeah.
because of duty, but because of love and self-sacrifice.
Mhm.
So, I'm not opposed to, but you don't just do that for everybody. Um
Mhm.
Speaking of our mother, let her watch Married at First Sight. She's getting hooked to these shows too. She watched season 3 of Love Is Blind, and I just
Mhm.
showed her the reactions. I should have put it on social media because it was hilarious. She was like, "These people are not easy, oh, they're not easy." She was just like, "Why are they rejecting people on the altar? Like, this Bartiz boy, he is awful. He frisky. He."
Wow.
And then I was just like, "Mom, I want to be on that show." She's like, "So, for what? So you can get left at the altar?" Mom be playing
Yeah.
games. I'm like, "Why are you trying to
She
do me
stay
dirty like
track
that?" Yeah, so I'm just like, I think it would be fun in theory, but again, I'm a private citizen. Stuff
with a
gets leaked.
podcast.
I mean, it took a long time, but no,
Yeah.
I mean, there is something to be said about like getting on these dating shows. And yeah, I guess you get the notoriety after, like things are a little bit easier when it comes to brand deals and stuff, but like, I mean, you didn't watch Love Is Blind the second season, but
Yeah.
it was rough. It
Yeah,
was
because the
rough.
people saw the first show and they're like, what happened to the first contestants? Some of them got married, they became social media influencers. There's, monetary value in being on the show. So I think maybe the people they were able to attract for the second and third season, which again I have yet to watch, weren't as authentic or really earnest in their desire to find someone to settle down with or a lifelong partner. And that's some of the problem with going on some of these shows, like Married at First Sight. I'm sure the type of people that are on season one are completely different than the people who are
Oh
on
yeah.
now.
I don't even want to spoil Love Is Blind season 3. I don't know if you're going to watch it, but there was a dude on there who was from the motherland, who you would
What specific? Don't just say motherland.
from
What's
Nigeria, Niger,
okay? Okay,
Niger.
okay.
And
Uh-huh.
I looked at him. I was like, "Oh wow, like he seems like a really nice dude." Like
Mhm.
he also kind of had similar backgrounds of us, like his grandfather being a polygamist, but he wasn't like that, and he wanted to settle down with one woman and all this other stuff. He just seemed like he said all the right things
Mhm. But
until he was caught with these women cheating on Raven and all this. Like, first time I was like, oh, people just clout chasing. But when you see multiple women coming over, I don't know what his MO was, but he
mhm.
seemed like he was a good dude on the show. But
Mhm.
you out here cheating and just totally negating how you presented on the show. Ended up
Mhm.
saying no at the altar, but seemed like
Mhm.
he was just in love and all this other stuff. And again, I'm like, women, we got to be careful. And I made a tweet too. I was just like, SK is the perfect example of why women keep their guard up, because these niggas be crafty. They be crafty as
They be
hell.
crafty.
Crafty. And if you want to hook up, cool. If you don't want to hook up, cool. Like just be upfront. What Tony Braxton say? You ain't gotta lie to me. Just be a man about it. If you want to leave, go on. Like it's okay. Like we're adults. Just be honest, treat people
Mhm.
with respect, and that's it. Like, but when you want to lie and start manipulating, like that's when
Yeah.
it hurts people's feelings, and that's not
Yeah.
nice.
It's not right.
I know you've been married for a while and been with your husband for a while, but Michelle Obama went viral for saying, I know a lot of people like me and Barack's relationship, but it hasn't always been 50-50, and marriage takes work, commitment takes work, and
That's
that young
yeah.
people give up too soon. And I just wanted to hear your take on that.
Yeah, I completely agree with her. What it looks like from the outside is not always what it's like on the inside. And that could be for better or for worse. But, like, the purpose of dating is to get to that ultimate end result for most people, which is marriage. But
Yeah.
once you get marriage is not to me the destination. It's still a journey. You're
Yeah.
still in a relationship and have to figure each other out, put each other's needs first. So, but that's why it's so important to date and to learn people, because you carry that into your this permanent relationship or lifelong relationship of marriage. Never stop doing the work. You think just because you're dating someone for several years and then you finally make it to the altar and get married, the work is done. No, the work's just beginning. You
Yeah,
know,
no, for real.
I find marriage to be, it's something I'm very proud of, the marriage that we have and the relationship that we built. I think being a wife and mother, it's not all that defines me, but I think it's like the best part of my life. It's where I find my peace.
Yeah,
Because I married the right person. And we
you're
dated
married
for
well.
like over 5 years before we got married. So I think that helped. And we're long distance for the majority of the time, for 4.5 years of those five. So this is somebody that I've been through things with, and that we both had to stay committed and in it to get to where we are now. So, you know,
Yeah, I was reading some Bell Hooks the other day, and she said
hmm
this quote on this article.
SJW.
I mean, I love me some Bell Hooks, R.I.P. to the GOAT.
hmm
And she said something along the lines that kind of talks about what we talked about just now, about like people would rather settle for a counterfeit of love than to actually do the work of love. And this is not to rag on men, but I do feel like because men are socialized to hide their emotions, repress their emotions, when you see the rise of the manosphere, I know you hate that term, it just kind of breeds this um notion that women people are disposable, and if you aren't these things you're not worth fighting for. And I think like there's someone for everyone, and I always say it like this too, like you're in content marketing, you got to find your audience, you got to find your niche. When you're dating someone, it's data.
hmm
What advice can you give me as your little sis, and also women out there that are looking for a mate?
I don't know if I'm qualified to give advice just because I'm married, but I would say be open, to where your journey takes you, because people have a list, and who you end up with usually does not resemble everything on that list.
Yeah.
And, I would say keep doing what you're doing. It's trial and error. There's no recipe for success, really. But if you have your standards and things that you're willing to abide by and you don't want to compromise on those things, that's fine. And, the universe will send you who you're meant to be with. So it just takes time. Don't set an artificial deadline for yourself and then end up rushing to be with someone or marry someone just as like, oh, I'm 35 now, need to get married, that kind of thing. And I know there
Yeah.
are other considerations involved, like if you want to have kids or whatnot, but I would just say, just hold on,
Yeah.
hang in there.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And like I said earlier, like I feel like I'm in a season where I'm really discovering, or I've already starting to really discover who I am and enjoy things, because it's like, okay, I really would like to be partnered, but what if they never come? And that's okay. I don't think I'm less of a woman because I don't have a mate. I'm a high value woman just because I'm on this earth, and you are high value because you are, and you're existing and you're breathing. And don't let these people out here make you think less. So
Perfect note to end on.